Okay, Abdussalam, I'm going to start the recording and then you can go ahead and get us onto the live stream as well, inshallah. Okay. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon everybody. Welcome to our PPP Payroll Protection Program workshop today. This is the first of hopefully many events and seminars that we will be doing through a brand new initiative that we launched at MAPS. This is the Small Business Resiliency Network, SBRN. It's an exciting new program. It's something that many in the community can likely benefit from because with COVID devastating small business owners and many other organizations, we have seen and heard the cries for help from small business owners and those who need assistance during this difficult time. And we've wanted to find a way to be able to serve this population that previously we had not. We at MAPS offer a lot of services and assistance to the community at large with things like food distribution, rental and utility help, housing assistance, a free community clinic that's now virtual, COVID testing and more, but we had not yet directly provided assistance to our many struggling small business owners. And all of that fortunately is now changing with the launch of this brand new program, MAPS SBRN, Small Business Resiliency Network. This happened after MAPS joined the Washington State Department of Commerce's Small Business Resiliency Network, which is a network of about 31 trusted community partners who are helping get information and resources and material out from the state level, from the federal level, out to business owners in marginalized communities who do not always have access to this kind of information or resources. MAPS joined that Small Business Resiliency Network by the Department of Commerce, and through that collaboration and partnership and being selected as one of the trusted community advisors or partners, we also received a grant to be able to launch a program to offer direct services to the many Muslim, Middle Eastern, Arab, and people of color small business owners in our community. And that's how we launched MAPS SBRN. Now, MAPS SBRN is going to be offering a number of services, but before I get to the services, I want to mention that we have a pretty impressive group, a team that's working on this. That's part of the MAPS SBRN team. We have Gul Siddiqui, who is the project manager, who will be leading the effort on this. And Gul recently moved here from Arizona, so we welcome her and her family and the leadership she's going to show in sort of moving this specific program forward. The other advisory team members, besides myself, are Brother Abdirahman Mohamud, Brother Usman Salahuddin, Brother Muhammad Kadura, and Brother Abdirahman Mohamud, who's going to be our CPA speaking about this PPP workshop today. So I'll have a chance for Brother Abdirahman to share a little bit more about his background before he goes into the PPP guidance. But what I want to mention before that is specifically the kinds of services that MAPS SBRN is going to be providing. One is specifically resources and access and information about different opportunities, funding opportunities, training opportunities, and more. By signing up on the MAPS SBRN listserv, you will hear about these various opportunities, and you will be contacted by Gul directly. Sister Gul is going to reach out to all the folks who signed on to the form already, and I hope Gul can drop in the chat, or somebody can drop in the chat, the link to sign up if you have not yet signed up. This is a way for you to be part of this network if you are a small business owner or an organizational head, to learn about the resources available and to hear about directly the services we at MAPS will be providing. So there's going to be assistance filling out loan applications and forgiveness from the PPP federal program. That's number one. Number two is assistance with website development or improvement, because right now we are in a digital time. A lot of things have moved virtually, and a lot of small business owners do not have the same digital presence that they have in person. So we can try to help connect you with services to upgrade your website, as well as social media and marketing support. So that's another area. If you need help as a small business owner in that, we can try to connect you to resources who can help you do that, either at a very reduced rate or even sometimes free, depending on the specific service. Some of the other areas are delivery services sign up. This is really helpful for a lot of restaurant owners who might not be connected with someplace like Uber Eats or DoorDash or another service that can deliver food to customers. And then there's a lot of things that make for a successful business, like accounting and bookkeeping, or business legal help, or even things like printing services, printing some of the material, promotional material or otherwise. So those are some additional areas of potential assistance. And we also may be able to help with translation assistance. If your business needs help understanding some of the material out there, we might be able to help, or help provide some things in a translated way for the community that you are trying to reach. And one of the things we want to do, we're not there yet, but we want to get a listing of different businesses in our community that we can promote or list on our MAPS website, so that folks who want to go to a business in our community, they can see that listing, find the category that they're interested in, and then help the small businesses that are struggling in our community. So those are some of the services that we will be providing. This is free, no cost to join SBRN. Some of the specific services might have some external costs associated with them, but GUL will be contacting each of the business owners who sign up to talk specifically about what your needs are, how we can help, and offer the sort of menu of services that we have, and let you know what the costs are, if any, associated with that. So having said that, this is a program, again, that we are very excited about launching, but we're also welcome to any feedback you might have. So if you have any feedback, any advice, any things we're missing, please let us know. We've already gotten some positive feedback from community members, and we welcome more of that. So with that said, I want to pass it on over to Brother Abdirahman, who will be giving us an overview, again, of the PPP funding source and some of the specific do's and don'ts around that. So Abdirahman is a CPA, certified public accountant, and he is also the CPA for MAPS, and he has helped us get our books in order, and we appreciate the work he has done, and he's been heavily involved in the sort of helping businesses with their PPP applications. So I turn it over to Brother Abdi to talk to us about PPP and how small business owners can potentially benefit from it. Go ahead, and I will ask GUL to stop sharing her screen so Abdirahman can begin his, and we'll get started with the overview of PPP. And thank you, everybody, for joining us.
Thank you, Sister Anila, and thanks for the team. This is an exciting moment for all of us in the community. And MAPS, like you said, Sister Anila, has been the forefront of humanitarian and social and financial services to our community, education programs, and the piece that we're missing, came to fruit this time by, partnering with the Washington State Department of Commerce and bringing to light this important program for our community. And I'm so excited to be here. I'm so excited to be part of this team. And just to also talk about the first workshop that we're gonna launch as a team. But I also want to thank our participants who give us their time to come in and share with us for the next hour. We're going to share some very important information about I'm a small business owner. So whether you are running small businesses or not-for-profits, we all know the challenges that we are facing this time through this pandemic that started last year, this time around, and a lot of some of businesses unfortunately shut down because of the magnitude of this issue, and some of us still standing. But we need to make sure that we survive and thrive and continue our businesses. And the government is here to help us. One of the programs they're going to help us with, this particular program, payroll protection program, that I'm going to go over. In a kind of like high level of view, we only have an hour, so I'll try to go over the program for the next 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and then we'll give some time for questions. Any questions you have while I'm talking about, the first half, just put into the chat room, and Sister Anila will coordinate, and we'll try to answer all your questions as much as we can. If we can't answer all of them, obviously we can come back to you and give you those answers. So I'm going to share my screen now to start the program. So basically, we're going to go through, let's see. As you can see, our agenda today, the introduction is already being done by Sister Anila. Thank you, Sister Anila. Then we're going to look at the overview of the program, eligibility, how much money can you apply to get this funding, and where and when you can to apply to. And then we're going to give updates on how to get forgiveness for this amount. One thing to remember, this is initially is a loan to you in the condition that you follow or comply with what they ask you to use for the money, so you can get full forgiveness, inshallah. And then we'll talk about, required documentation. And in the event that you didn't get full forgiveness, what are the loan terms? You need to know what you get into. And we'll talk about at the end do's and don'ts of when you're applying this loan. So as you all know, the first PPP loan was part of the first CARES Act that passed in last March 2020. And the government put aside $349 billion loan program for that. And it was started on April 3rd, 2020. But it was gone 2 weeks later. And we all know the reason why. Everybody was, surprised how quickly the money was gone. And a lot of companies who don't deserve this program get the money. Big banks were just banking on those relationships they had with their big clients. And Congress later provided additional $350 billion to that program. And they sort of did a better job on that second round because the program expired on June 30th with some funding remaining. And a lot of us, small businesses and not-for-profits, was able to get some help through that second round, which was part of the first PPP loan. And now, on December 27, $900 billion of COVID relief package was signed to a law, and $284 billion included in that package was designed for this program. And second round, you might hear like second round, third round, but basically there's a new funding for the program, and it was designed, again, the whole idea of this program is to help businesses keep their employees, keep them on payroll, fight with the unemployment that was happening because of this pandemic. So the government is basically saying, we're going to help you go through this. And it started on January 11 with some soft opening that was meant to help minority-owned businesses and women-owned businesses by giving the first soft opening to community banks. And then January 19, it was open for all the lenders. And as of maybe recently, last week, $90 billion is gone. So as you can see, we have 2/3 of the money still available. And I just want to highlight that it's important that we take advantage as soon as possible and apply this loan. Eligibility, I think if you could see both, there's some slightly difference. If you applied the first PPP loan and you get that money, that means you are applying second time. And what is required as a small business owner is that you must have 300 or fewer employees, and you have to experience a revenue reduction of 25% or more in 2020 relative to 2019. And you also, probably by now, by the time you're applying the loan, use all the money that you get on the first PPP program. And you must have been in operation on February 15, 2020. Well, if you're applying on the first time, the requirements are a little different. You just go back and follow the original requirements, which you just have to have a 500 or fewer employees, and you just have to be in operation on February 15, 2020. If you started your business after that, that means you're not eligible to apply either one of them. These are eligible borrowers, and most of them are the same as the first one. Business concerns, which basically is whether you're LLC or corporate or partnership, independent contractors. We have many of them in our community. Whether you drive Uber or a taxi or just do construction work, whatever. If you work for yourself and you consider yourself independent contractor, you are eligible. Sole proprietors, not-for-profit organizations, and veterans organizations, tribal business. Some of the new ones that came into the second PPP round is housing cooperatives and eligible 501c6 organizations, which basically, those are Chamber of Commerce and social clubs and destination marketing organizations as well. Eligible. Now they even added new local news organizations as eligible. So these are the borrowers that are eligible to take advantage of this program. And the maximum loan amount for you to get through this program is the lesser of 2.5 months of average monthly payroll costs, or $2 million. So basically what you have to do is you have to figure out your total payroll cost for the year. You can use either 2019 or 2020 and divide by 12, and then that's how you get your monthly average payroll, and you multiply 2.5. So basically you're getting 2.5 months of your monthly average payroll cost. If you have a code of NAICS code of 72, which means some of us are in the restaurant, food, accommodation industry, then you have to put your 72, it starts with 72, but it's I believe 9-digit code. You have to provide that, so that means you're getting 3.5. So you're getting actually 1 extra month if you're in that industry. And the time period, like I said, you can use either 2020 or 2019. If you're a seasonal business, you can use 12-week period between February 15, 2019 and February 14, 2020. And in order for you to say, to say that I'm a seasonal business, there's a requirement. You don't operate more than 7 months in a calendar year, and it has not earned more than 1/3 of your revenue in any of 6 months of that year. So obviously, they want to make sure that when you say that I'm a seasonal worker, you know what that means and what the requirements are. Now, where to apply? The first place you can start with is your lender. Your bank, local bank. And check first. If you applied before, I would recommend to apply the same lender because they have your information. They already approve yours, so it's easier for them to process your second loan. But if this is your first time applying, you can apply with your local bank that you have a relationship with. If not, you can go to any other small banks or credit unions. There are even some online lenders that you can utilize. So what they do is they will take your information and shop for you, send your information to several lenders, and to get you the loan quicker. Some of them are Lendio that I've dealt with before, some of my clients. There's On Deck, I listed all of them on the sidebar so you can look at it. I mean, the program is going to end on March 31st, 2020, or earlier if the money runs out. So you should apply as soon as possible. I think we don't have to wait March 31st to apply. Just gather your documents and apply as soon as possible. Now, on the forgiveness part, it is possible that you can get full forgiveness for the whole amount that you borrow. As long you allocated 60% to payroll and 40% to other allowable costs, which I'll talk about in a minute. And the cover period is 8 weeks to 24 weeks. So you use whatever you're comfortable with. If you can expand and use the money for the 24-week period, go ahead and use it. And you must also maintain the number of employees in your payroll, which means, they call it full-time equivalent employees. So they're going to compare the 2019 numbers you had with the 2020 numbers. And if you maintain a 1-to-1 ratio, you're going to be okay, or higher. Basically, they want you to keep the same employees you had before you apply, but that doesn't mean that, you can't let anybody go. People can leave, you can lay off, but you have the opportunity to rehire to make up, so you can be in that ratio that helps you to get the full forgiveness. The other new thing that came in with this law that just passed is also the forgiveness amount is not taxable, and the expenses that you use this money are also tax deductible. The previous act, the IRS wasn't allowing for you to deduct those expenses that you pay for the money, but now Congress realized that it was not the intent of the program, so they kind of giving business another opportunity to take advantage of this program and not worry about whether their expenses are deductible or not. And they added even additional non-payroll costs like software, cloud computing, HR, accounting fees. All of these you can now use for this money. Cost to property damage, anything that you cover with the supplier, or worker protection costs. For example, now some small businesses are spending money to either buy masks and gears to protect their employees. So all of these can be used for this money. And documentation. This is one of the things for the key takeaway of this presentation should be this slide. You have to have a documentation to apply it and also to apply the forgiveness. So the main documentation that they're going to look for is quarterly Form 941, which is your payroll reports, the state quarterly wage unemployment insurance tax, and also if you are applying more than $150,000, you have to submit adequate documentation to establish a revenue reduction of 25% or more with the initial application. If you're applying less than $150,000, it's not a requirement, but it might be a requirement when you're ready to apply for forgiveness. So you always should have documentation to support your application, both the initial application to get the money and the application to request for full forgiveness. Evidence of any retirement and employee group health. If you provided these to your employees, insurance, dental, vision, all of these also you should have some type of statements that support whatever you put on the application. And also documents to support your maximum load calculation. So you should have how you arrive those numbers. Some of the payroll service providers will calculate it for you. All you have to just, provide some information into the system, and they spell out a report that shows you what amount you might be eligible. And in the event that some of the loan is not forgiven, it's going to be a loan. So you have to know what the terms are. And this is why I put this slide. It's a 5-year term and 1% interest rate. Loans made before June 5th have a 2-year term. Payments might be deferred for the first 6 months. There's no prepayment penalty, no collateral, personal guarantees, and neither the government nor lenders will charge you any fee to get this loan. So that's the important thing to note. It is actually prohibited by the Act, all of these laws that passed, that businesses should not pay any fees to get this loan, either to the banks or to any other agents or CPAs. It's just not allowed. So you should be expecting, if you apply 10,000, you should be expecting 10,000. Now, the last one, I think this also is a very important slide. There's some do's and don'ts. So what I would focus first is the do's, because that's, the more you do these things, the better you're going to be getting the money and also getting the full forgiveness. Set up a separate bank account for your PP funds, because you want to keep track how you spending that money. Gather your documents in advance. You don't want to scramble last minute and the bank's asking you, can you give me this, or you didn't provide this, because time is everything. So the quicker that you can give the information they need, the quicker that your loan get approved and get your promissory note, so just to sign and get the money. Build a relationship with your lender. The better, the relationship, the better that they're going to deal with you, and have a good plan if PPP loan is not forgiven. And this is kind of important, because sometimes, people don't realize when their application is denied and they have this loan that they have to pay, and they already used the money, they might have other debt that they're dealing with. So it's just to avoid all of these, just think it through and say, what if, type of analysis. Don'ts, things that you shouldn't be doing. You shouldn't be mixing funds with your personal accounts. Use the funds for ineligible causes. You don't have to. If you spend the money as something that you shouldn't be spending, then for sure you're not going to get full forgiveness. Skipping signatures. Overlooking important information. Go it alone. You don't have to go this process alone. There's help out there. Your bank. There are a lot of resources. This team that we just have now within MABS, we're here to help you, so you don't have to do it alone. And applying late also is a no-no. And the last thing I would say is not losing hope, because we are facing a very difficult time, and whether we get this money or not, we shouldn't be losing hope. And this is part of our faith, and it's just what's keep us going. That having hope that one day, things will come back to normal. This pandemic is going to go away. We're going to continue our businesses and just have success of what we do. And the last slide is just resources. MABS, SPRN is a resource for you. Organizations such as SCORE, financial institutions, your bank, your lender, CPAs and lawyers are also good resources, and payroll service providers, because they know this whole payroll stuff that's integral part of this whole program. So I'm going to end with this. I hope I shared with you information that's kind of like useful, and hopefully you can use it to get this process going. And we're going to, I'm going to turn over to Sister Anila, who can maybe organize the questions and answer questions. So thank you very much for taking the time to come and be part of this workshop.
Thank you so much, dear Brother Abdi, for your presentation, your expertise and guidance here as well. If you want to stop sharing the screen, then we can go ahead and have everybody sort of on the screen as we discuss some of the specific questions that I've already received. The first question that I've received from more than one person has been around the number of employees that you have to be eligible for PPP. So people asking, do you actually have to have employees to apply? And also, I do not have anyone under paycheck, including myself. Is it possible to benefit from PPP? So can you address that question of employees?
Yes. You have to have 300 or fewer employees if you're applying the second round of PPP. If you never apply, and this is your first time, you should have 500 or fewer. One employee is fine. Even if you don't have an employee, for you work yourself, you're self-employed, you're independent contract, you are eligible to apply. So you don't have to have an employee to apply.
Great. Thank you for clarifying that. So employees are not needed. If you're a small business owner, you may be eligible to apply.
Yes.
The next question I have is the PPP loan different from the SBA disaster loan?
Yes, that SBA, it's called Economic Injury Disaster Loan. It's the loan that's given to small businesses. You have to apply it through the SBA, but it was part of this CARES Act that passed, and it has a very favorable rate. It's like 3 point something. If you're not for profit, it's even lower. It has a 30-year. But it's a loan. The PPP is different. The PPP can turn into grant, basically. It all depends how you use the money. If you use the money the way they ask you to use it, the whole thing can be forgiven. So that's the difference.
Great. So there's a question of whether the SBA disaster loan is also or could also be forgivable.
No. And that one is something you're going to apply through the SBA, where the PPP program, you apply through your bank or any lender you choose to.
Got it. So for the SBA, do they not collect that? The payments on that aren't due for a while? Or can you clarify or give any further input on the timing of payments for that?
Yes, they give you a deferment, and it all depends how you work with SBA. So let's say if you get $100,000, even that has some requirements, how you're going to use that loan, because the SBA is giving you a loan that you wouldn't get in any other bank, in terms of the long term. Very low interest rate, long term maturity. So the reason why they're giving you this loan is to your business to keep going, and they expect you to use it for payroll and rent and operational stuff. You can't take the money and pay off other debt. It's not allowed. So that's directly with the SBA. This one, the PPP is administered through your lender, whether it's your local bank or any other lender. And the banks and lenders are administering this, approving, sending to information that they already approved to SBA to get the loan.
Great. So thank you for clarifying that SBA disaster loan is separate. That will have to be paid back, but there could be favorable terms around the deferred payment or lower interest rates.
Yes.
But the PPP is the one that can actually be forgivable. I know that's a big concern for Muslims, given our prohibition on interest. So
yes. And I think you mentioned a very good point. And I've seen some of my clients who are Muslims who are asking me these questions. Basically, and I'm not here to give fatwa because I'm not qualified to give fatwa, but based on AMJA, because it's coming from the government and the government is not in the business of making money on money, even though you're signing, a loan that can be forgiven, I believe they gave a fatwa on that. And what I tell my clients is, do the best you can to get the whole amount forgiven. And if not, let's say you take $10,000, and after you apply for forgiveness, they say we will forgive 8,000. As long the 2,000, you just send it back, and then you don't have to pay any interest on that.
Thank you for that, Brother Abdi. Another set of questions that I'm hearing are folks who are interested in the PPP based on what you shared, and they want to know how can they get help applying for it.
Okay.
So I think you mentioned this, but go ahead and repeat it with MAPS SBRN. Go ahead.
I think the first thing you need to do is to contact the team here, but also talk to your bank, your local bank. You know, if you have a relationship with the local bank, just give them a call and say, I want to apply this PPP loan, and they can give you some information. They might send you a portal that you can apply online and ask you the required documents. Also, you know, look at these online lenders. They're not actually lenders. They just facilitate this program. So they're marketing / lender type. But they have relationships with a lot of lenders. So, for example, Lendia, if you go to their website, they will tell you exactly what you need to do. You know, same thing with Fundera. You know, those are some of the well-known online lenders, and they give you the steps. You know, the first step is to find out where you can apply, and then just apply. And when you're applying, they might even give you at the beginning what documents you need to include in your application. So before you go through answering all these questions, go back to your system and put all those documents in order, and then come and apply. And then you get to the last page where they will say, submit all your documents, upload all your documents. So you just go to your C drive or whatever they are in your computer and upload them. So that's how I should approach it. But again, you know, we're here to help you. So.
Yeah, I want to reiterate that point, Brother Abdi, that we at MAPS SBRN, one of the main focus areas for us, specifically given the urgency that Abdi mentioned with these funds potentially running out or the deadline coming up, we want to help the small business owners in our community who need assistance. And as Abdi said, you do not have to go at this alone. Contact us. And if you filled out the form, I'll make sure we include it in the chat again, to join the MAPS SBRN listserv, then Sister Gul will be reaching out, following up with you this week into next week even, to talk to you specifically about what you need help with. And one of the items that we asked in the form is whether you need assistance with the PPP loan application or forgiveness. Even if you didn't mark it and you already submitted your form, it's okay. You'll have the chance to talk to Gul and explain that you do want help with this, and then we can connect you to Brother Abdi and others potentially in the community who can help you through this process. So if you don't know where to start, if you don't know how to set up what you need, if you don't know what documentation or even where to start, this will be the resource that we are providing to connect you to be able to get that kind of help.
Okay, and the one thing I want to mention, Sister Anila, if you are self-employed and you have no employees, that means you have no payroll. Somebody might say, how am I going to figure out how much money to ask or what documentation they need? Obviously, when you're self-employed, you do file your tax return on a yearly basis. So you go back to your most recent tax return and you look at Schedule C. That's where, as a business owner, you list all your expenses and income, and you look at line 31, and you kind of figure what number is in that line. You know, if it's a $10,000, that means you made $10,000 as a business owner, and that's your income. So you take that divided by 12, and you multiply 2.5. That's how you get your loan amount. If that number is a negative number, which means you had more expenses than what you made, then you're not eligible to apply, which is unfortunate because they just don't know. They just don't know how to calculate that number. They just put you to the side and say you can't apply this because you had a loss. And to me, it doesn't make any sense. But you know, the law is what it is.
Thank you for that further clarification. And I want to repeat, because it's been asked in the chat privately to me, that if folks do get assistance with applying for PPP, whether you go to a bank or somebody else, they should not be charging you. Please make sure you don't get ripped off.
Exactly. Yes.
There's many federal programs or other programs, and then sometimes there are people who will try to make money off of you getting assistance.
It's actually against the law.
There you go. So keep that in mind. Then I have a question about for new nonprofit businesses, they need help setting up payroll to possibly apply. What kind of assistance can they get? New organizations or new nonprofits or new businesses?
Well, as long as you started your business in February 15, 2020, you're eligible to apply this program. Whether you have a payroll system or not, it all depends, Again, it comes down to the required documentation and how quickly you can gather. The more, if you have a better system, it's easier. If you don't, it takes time. You don't have, some clients, they don't have good records. When the banks ask documentation, they kind of like, looking areas that, it takes time, basically. So if you are new not-for-profit, if you have employees, you should have a payroll system. I don't know how would you run an organization with employees without a payroll. Even if you don't have a well-known payroll service provider, at least you should have, even if you're doing on your own, you should. How else would you pay your employees, and how you making the right deductions for the government, whether it's the state or tax, IRS. So I don't know if the question is, that's how I understood the question. So if you don't have a payroll, but you have employees, you should figure it out what the wages are so you can apply.
So another point that you raise is this idea that we need documentation. Business owners need to have proper documentation to apply for this or other potential funding sources.
Yes.
And that assistance with documentation, whether it's accounting or bookkeeping or payroll or setting up their organization, are those things that MAPS SBRN is going to help with?
Yes, I mean, I think whether you're starting the business now or you've been in business but you didn't have a good system to look at to look after your financials, our team can help you at least do some kind of assessment where you are, and then take it from there. Because sometimes you might be there 70%. You just need to get a system that can help you more efficiently, or you might be 20% and you need a lot of help. It all depends, that initial assessment that we might conduct in your business. But as a small business owner or just somebody who's just starting, and has a passion for not-for-profits, it always helpful to start with the right mindset, surrounding yourself people who can help you with this, whether it's the law, whether it's having accurate financials, and whether it's being efficient. And those are three things that any one of us should think about. Am I working in an environment where I'm efficient? And I can tell my stakeholders, whether they are donors or they are investors, that I'm using their resources in an efficient way. Am I compliant with the laws and regulations? Am I have a system that produces good financials? So those are the things that you need to think about as a small business owner or not-for-profit leader.
Yeah. So basically, just to capture what you're saying, this sounds like we at MAPS SBRN are going to be providing a lot of assistance, potential assistance to these businesses who are struggling with many different aspects.
Yes.
And again, if you haven't already, make sure you fill out the form so you actually get connected to us. And Sister Gul will be reaching out with businesses to find out exactly what your needs are and how we can help. This is a brand new, exciting program, and it's intended to help all of the struggling business owners in our community with addressing all of these issues and questions and problems that folks have already identified. I have another question that says, can I apply for both the PPP and the SBA loan?
Yes, you can. And I think, the EDLI had some, the guidance has been changing, for a while, and they stop, even issuing loans, and then they open up for certain industries. I know, like, agriculture or, other type of industries, but, yes, you can. You just have to know what the guidance is as of today. As I was preparing this, I didn't look at the EDLI as of now, what the requirements are, whether they still accept applications, but it's a simple way to find out. Just go to their website, Small Business Administration, and you should get some information about whether you can apply the EDLI or not.
Great, thank you. And one of the services we will be providing for those who sign up on our listserv is regular notification about different funding opportunities, whether it's PPP, SBA, or resources from the state that are also available to help businesses. So again, if you haven't already, please make sure you do fill out that Google form so that we are connected with your business, and we'll have Sister Gul following up to find out exactly what your needs are. Another question I have is, what is the maximum amount we can request through the PPP loan?
It all depends, your situation. If, again, the first thing you're going to determine is your monthly average payroll cost. That's the number that you need, and then you multiply that 2.5. If you're in the food industry, if you're in the accommodation industry, the new PPP guidelines just came in. They giving more money to those folks, so that's 3.5. So how you come up with that monthly average cost? Like, for example, it depends. If you're self-employed, you have no employees, basically you're just gonna take your net income on a Schedule C, line 31, divided by 12. That's your monthly average cost, and then you multiply by 2.5. If let's say you're self-employed and have employees, then you need to go one step further and get the monthly average cost for your payroll cost for your employees. And you add yours, and then you multiply 2.5. And if you are not for profit, obviously you just have to figure out the payroll cost for your employees for the not for profit, and you take that number, the average monthly cost for that number, and then you multiply 2.5.
Great, thank you for that, Abdi. I'm also hearing from some folks, some business owners' experience. One person says, my bank officer from Bank of America just guided me to the Bank of America website. And I've had another question or comment saying, so in theory, I should be able to go to BECU and apply for the PPP. And the answer, so as you said, the answer is yes.
But yes, but also, I think you always also have to check with your bank is telling you to. Because sometimes, people have different level of knowledge. For example, on this PPP round 2 that's running now, the government is giving you 2 choices, 2 numbers to use, either your 2019 numbers and 2020 numbers. So, first you look at your 2019 and you compare your 2020 and you use the one that most give you the more money. So your bank might say, for whatever reason, or just simplicity, hey, you applied with us last year, we have your numbers, you're just gonna apply you just use the 2019 numbers. But if you don't check your 2020 numbers, there might be a $5,000 difference, more cost. So you kind of like leaving some money to your disadvantage. So just always check with somebody, ask your bank, hey, you know, what are the number for, can you tell me the loan that I can apply for both years so I can compare which one is better for me? So just to make sure you follow up with that.
Thank you, Abdi. So folks are also asking, can we get the contact information for Brother Abdirahman for accounting questions? And also
Yes.
some folks asking for us to reach out to them because they have a specific case or scenario that they need help with.
Yep.
And what I'm going to say to that is if you use the smallbiz@mapsredmond.org email, you will reach the SBRN team at MAPS, which includes Brother Abdi. So
Yes.
please send your questions that are specific to your case or any follow-up accounting questions or anything else. Do the small biz, that's SMALLBIZ @mapsredmond.org. We'll drop it in the chat as well. You can send your emails if you're trying to reach Brother Abdi, if you have other questions for the team, that's the email address to use so you can reach all of us. And then I'm also having, let's see, a question here specifically, let's see. The PPP application asks, what is the primary purpose of the loan? It has much more on this than just payroll. Can you comment on what else is sort of the primary purpose that they should be addressing?
Yeah, payroll is the major one. Again, make sure you spend 60% of that money on payroll costs. And then 40%, they allow you to spend rent, utilities, mortgage interest if you have, and they put all these other new allowable costs now for this new latest guidance that came in, which is like, you know, you can even spend, you know, accounting and legal fees and damage, property damage. If your property is damaged, you can fix and use that, some of that. But all of that has to be 40%. So if you spend 49 or 59%, you know, of payroll costs, that means you didn't follow the guidelines. You know, the allocation is 60-40, and you might be, you know, subject to not get the whole forgiveness. The other piece of information is you have to maintain the level of employee that you had before you get the loan. Another, you know, if you kind of fall short that, you know, you might not get the full forgiveness. So always plan on getting, just ask yourself what I need to do to get 100% forgiveness, and you're going to work towards on that, and we're going to help you with that.
Great, thank you for that. And I want to end with one question, which again, I know you already addressed, but I want to be explicitly clear about this, given the concerns within the Muslim community in particular about interest. Can you just reiterate the point about PPP? Because a lot of folks see PPP and see loan, and they shy away or are hesitant to benefit from a program that could potentially benefit Muslim small business owners as well.
Okay, and that's why I put the loan term as well. We have to be clear that, you know, as Muslims, we're not allowed to use interest. You know, the first question you ask yourself is, you know, am I going into that area? Well, one way to avoid that is to work on getting full forgiveness, right? So let's say, I'm going to give you again another example, simple example. Let's say you apply this and you get $10,000 for your business. And at the end of the day, when you finish, you use, you know, the bank came back and said, based on the documentation you provide to us and what you used for the loan, we'll forgive $8,000. That means $2,000 will be a loan with the term of 1% interest, 5-year term. You have 6 months deferral from this date, whatever, right? So you know that now 2,000 is a loan, right? So if you, the minute they communicate that to you, if you send that 2,000 back, again, there's no pre-penalties for paying off. If you send that 2,000, you know, interest has not kicked in yet because you had a deferred payments. That means you take the 8,000, you send the 2,000 back, not 1 cent interest was charged to you. I think, you know, That alone is something I'm okay with as a person. People are different here. Some people are maybe more religious than I, but some people, I remember people used to say, even if you sign the documents, that's a riba. I'm not in that category. I'm just speaking for myself. As long as I can avoid paying $1 interest, I'm okay with that. So it's again, Sister Neela, it's different for everybody, you know. Yep. So those folks who saying that if I sign a document that I'm agreeing with to these terms, then you know I'm committing a sin. I'm not that person. So it depends, you know. You can either be on that side, or you can be this side, or you can be the middle. I don't know.
Thank you, Abdi. So basically, it's of course an individual choice for each small business owner to decide. But the point is that just because you're signing documents that say you will pay interest does not mean you actually will pay interest, because the program is set up for forgiveness of that amount of the loan. So it could become a grant if it is fully 100% forgivable. And if you follow what you're supposed to, you can get this to be a fully forgivable loan. So essentially, and that's why it's important. Abdi, that's why it's important
to know. And also, you know, Amja already, you know, provided a fatwa on this. Mm-hmm. And I'm comfortable with their fatwa as well, because the government is giving us free money. You know, the government's not making money on us. You know, this 1%, it's, if you think about it, who gives 1% loan these days? You know, it's just to cover the cost. I mean, so it's, again, you know, if you like the fatwa that Hamja puts out, you'll be okay. If you don't, again, it's based on it depends on the individual.
Yep. All right. So folks can make their own decision, but we are here. MAPS SBRN is here as a resource for these different small business owners in our community to get the kind of assistance they need to apply for PPP and do many other services that we talked about in the beginning, like website development or improvement, social media and marketing, accounting and bookkeeping help, and access to different resources from the state and federal government that could potentially help you as you're struggling. We know how much you're struggling during this difficult time of a pandemic. So again, if you haven't signed up, make sure you sign up. We've shared the link several times now. If you have any follow-up questions or direct questions for Brother Abdi, make sure you use the smallbiz@mapsredmond.org email address to send us those questions. We need to keep track of this for reporting and tracking purposes as well. So please use that instead of directly contacting Brother Abdi. Brother Abdi will see the email and we'll make sure you get connected with the assistance you need. And as I mentioned, Sister Gul is going to be reaching out to all the businesses that did sign up using the Google form to make sure that we understand what your needs are, where you need help, how we can help you. And this is a new program. It's a new initiative. So there might be some kinks that we have to work out, but we're going to go get through it together. And we want and welcome your feedback, your input, your ideas, your resources that you can bring to the table as well, because part of the idea for SBRN is not just that MAPS is going to provide you assistance, but that the small business owners in our community can help each other. We can learn from and benefit from each other. And that's part of the whole idea. And that's why it's called a network. So please do join. Please be part of this. And as we said before, this is the first of many seminars that we hope to do on a variety of different topics of interest to small business owners. So please continue following MAPS through the website, through the newsletter, if you're not already subscribed, to learn about all of these different workshops that we will be doing. And if you have an idea for a workshop, make sure you let us know. We will try to save the chat. Again, if there's any questions or anything else, please do follow up. I'm seeing some of the positive feedback here, including one comment that says, this is hands down the best thing MAPS has ever done. So major kudos to MAPS for launching this kind of initiative. It is unique to have an Islamic center do this level of assistance to our community members, and we're excited to do this very thing. So So thank you so very much. May Allah bless everybody who has participated and is helping lead this program, Brother Abdi, the entire team, and all of you business owners who are joining us for this session and for the many more to come. We know it's a hard time. We know you're hurting, and hopefully this will be a tiny bit of assistance that has truly come from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, from God Almighty, to help and provide some kind of assistance during this difficult time. So thank you, everybody. We want to make sure we end on time, as we said. We're going to be looking forward to communicating with the community. But once again, thank you, Brother Abdi, for your expertise and your time today. And thank you again to the entire community for being here.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all for coming.